did you happen to see the special on Fox with the opening of the tombs with Zahi Hawass, Dr. Hawass?
Yes.
And I'm sure you heard Dr. Hawass. I have Dr. Hawass on tape. I was standing right at the back of the Sphinx with Dr. Hawass, and I had a video camera going. In fact, I should get that tape out and play it. And Dr. Hawass adamantly, just as he did in the Fox thing, said, "There has never been art. 1 grain of sand," said Dr. Hawass. "Not 1 grain of sand that would lend any proof at all to the whole Atlantis concept or the fact that this is any older than we believe it to be. It was done by Egyptians' art." That's Dr. Hawass.
Well, I could agree with him that it was done by Egyptians and Atlantis, and Atlanteans per se. So you're not really, if you will.
He wouldn't say Atlanteans.
Well, I would have to point out that you're not. There's a lot of pride on the part of indigenous peoples as to their accomplishments, and I don't think that you're demoting indigenous peoples by acknowledging that it may have been intercooperative with other cultures. And quite singularly, the geology of the Sphinx confers upon it a greater age. Even the ARE's radiocarbon dating of the pyramid made it at least 1,000 years older than the oldest dates that they have for it.
Yes, I know.
And since they were dating mortar, it suggested they were dating a repair to the pyramid that had actually been spoken of in the Cayce predictions.
And all of this causes Zahi Hawass to go straight through the roof whenever you mention it to him.
Yes, he's a great storyteller. I mean, he looked great as kind of an Indiana Jones there when he was crawling around in the tombs and stuff. I admire that kind of diligence.
Oh, he's hard to follow. I chased him around Giza myself and almost had my own heart attack. Now, watching that little gal and others chase him around was kind of humorous. Reminded me of when I was there. You're right. He's kind of an Indiana Jones kind of guy. Mm-hmm. But I'll tell you this. If he made, this is my own personal belief, and he'd really take me on for it, but if he made a discovery of really earth-shattering significance, trust me, it wouldn't be on Fox.
I would have to agree, because the very tunnel that he spoke of that remained unexcavated, that he kind of courteously acknowledged, when being challenged, the fact that everything that he has discovered, that he's speaking of as his greatest discoveries and his greatest adventures, was described in intimate detail by Edgar Cayce some 50 or 75 years before.
That's right.
Is rather extraordinary.
Well, indeed, they have, through a penetrating X-ray, they have discovered that there is a tunnel that seemingly leads down at an angle from the Great Pyramid toward the left paw of the Sphinx.
Yes.
That's there.
and furthermore, there appears to be a chamber there where it's been suggested that when the spring when the spring equinox occurred, and it would have aligned exactly between the paws of the Sphinx, it would have been just below the horizon line of the constellation Leo and the constellation Virgo. So it appears that the Sphinx is the equivalent of a star map. And in one of the legends, it talks about how Ra gave humanity a secret place just below the place of the lion. And it's believed that if you look at that as a star map, because the Sphinx is a precise profile, in precise profile is exactly that. If you connect all the dots in the constellation Leo, it's the precise profile of the Sphinx. So looking at that as a star map, it's the idea of what is called the Hall of Records, and a source of hope for humanity in these challenging times is right below the Sphinx, where they have done these non-invasive forms of archaeology using ultrasonics and X-rays, et cetera, and they have confirmed there is indeed a chamber there.
What do you believe the pyramids are?
I believe them to be a very unique technology. We have gone to the pyramids multiples of occasions. I've traveled there myself with a group called Power Places Tours. I'm returning there with another group called the Intuition Network this September, and we're going to be exploring some of these issues. I believe them to be a type of what you might call a psionic type of technology that had a multitude of different functions. I believe it to be the equivalent of what you might now call a database in stone. I believe the way to access it is through intuitive states, and that the pyramid itself and the extraordinary mathematics associated with it, for instance, if we had to send a single object into space to communicate with extraterrestrials, I believe the mathematics of the pyramid would probably communicate more about our planet than virtually any other type of object.
So you were suggesting
it
is kind of a machine of some sort.
I think it is indeed a technology. The term machine, conjures up images of Newtonian mechanical universe.
It does. So most loosely used.
Yes.
Are you aware that December 31st at midnight, Zahi Hawass, Dr. Hawass, is going to replace the gold capstone on the Great Pyramid?
I have this comedic image that he's going to do that, and then suddenly, like the Hall of Records will open up right underneath his feet when he does that.
I know. I'm trying to decide whether I'd like to be there or not. Hold on, Kevin. We'll be right back to you. Kevin Ryerson is my guest. This is Coast to Coast AM. All right, back now to Kevin Ryerson. Kevin, you said you were in Egypt at Giza. Have you ever had the opportunity to go to the top of the Great Pyramid and lie in the sarcophagus?
Yeah, multiple of occasions. In fact, we even had the opportunity to work under some instructions with the pyramid as the kind of technology that we spoke of before, with some rather startling results.
Would you share those?
Certainly, if you like.
I would like, yes.
Well, we started out in the base of Egypt, where going through the temples, which many people feel line up with the chakras in the human anatomy, and the climax was actually entering into the pyramid itself. Now, through my own intuitive process, it had been predicted that if we worked appropriately with the energies in the pyramid, we could have a demonstration of what was called climate control, as to how the Atlanteans had worked with it. So we had taken instructions to work with certain ancient Egyptian hymnals, which break down into certain types of sound frequencies. And when actually lying in the sarcophagus and then causing it to resonate by striking the side of it with your fist, it resonates to a perfect pitch of A. And it's like a great drum. And then with the other types of meticulous types of chanting, quite similar to the kind of chanting that is done in Tibet, a rather remarkable phenomenon occurred. When we had entered the pyramid, the sky was perfectly clear. When we had come out of the pyramid about an hour or two later, as we were there to be able to be there privately, because it was after the park had closed, the plateau had closed, there was an extraordinary thunder and lightning storm that was entirely out of character with the climate at that time of the year. And later on, as we viewed from the Weather Channel, the eye of this thunderstorm that was directly over the capstone of the pyramid itself.
If Dr. Hawass was here, he would say, "Kevin, what a wonderfully imaginative mind you have." I've spoken with Dr. Hawass so much, I know exactly how he would respond. I got to lie in the sarcophagus and myself, and I had an experience that I still really can't properly put words to. As I felt something that resonated within every cell of my body. And that's about as close as I've been able to come to explaining to people what I felt as I was there. I did it kind of humorously. I first laid in there and kind of crossed myself as though I was a dead Egyptian. And then I stopped laughing and I started feeling. It was really strange.